Hi, my name is Jackie Stevens, and this is a restorative yoga session with a progressive relaxation in Shavasana. You have about 75 to 80 minutes of yoga, and the only thing I would suggest is that you let the people in your house know that you're about to practice so that they know to give you a little bit of privacy or to join you. All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to start off reclining on our mat. So go ahead and take as much space up on your mat as you can. Perhaps take a pillow or a blanket underneath your head for comfort. And then relax. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and start taking up a little bit of space. You want to be able to have some space in your joints so that they can begin to open up. So allow your arms to come away from you. Let your feet come at least mat width away from each other. Let the chin tuck in just a little bit so that the stretch at the front and back of the neck is about equal. And then allow your eyes to close, or the lids to grow very heavy and the gaze of the eyes goes unfocused. And while you're laying there, just getting comfortable, remembering that this is restorative yoga, so when we get into a position, the first thing we do is spend the first moment or two making sure we're fully comfortable. The thing I'd like to bring up is the idea of kindness. And it's not an idea, I shouldn't say the idea of kindness, but kindness. We are all in a tough position, and it's really common to hear people say, you should be cautious how you talk to people because you don't know what they're going through in their lives. And that is never more true than at this moment. We are all going through stuff. And even if things are great, even if we have enough toilet paper and Lysol wipes and food and our air conditioning is cold and our loved ones are nearby or available by Zoom or Facebook, it's hard. You have emotional ups and downs. I'm crying at the drop of a hat. Not that it's hard for me to cry, but there's something about this situation that's making me very tearful. So I go with it sometimes, much to the dismay of my dogs, but sometimes you just have to cry. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Try to take that extra heartbeat to wait to speak so that you can know if what you say is really worthwhile, really helpful to a situation. And even if you just tell somebody that you're there for them or you love them, that just makes such a difference right now. And be kind to yourself. And now sometimes that means saying no to a loved one. So you have to find that balance, like with anything else. You have to find the balance. But be kind to yourself, self-care, and even in this yoga class, make sure everyone knows that this is your time. Make sure that everyone knows this is your space. Take a moment and be thankful. Be thankful we're here and we have each other and we have this wonderful community that we've all built and that we're maintaining via Zoom. And when I say be kind to yourself, that includes doing things like making sure your body is fully supported in your restorative poses, and that you're being kind with your breath, that there's no judgment, that you're simply trying to relax and renew. And with all that in mind, let's go ahead and begin breathing. Breathing in our yoga breath. Hopefully you've kept breathing this time I've been talking. Begin to breathe into your belly. Find that beginning of your three-part yoga breath. So as you inhale, and you can bring your hands to your bellies now if that helps, if you'd like to connect with your breath. As you inhale, feel the belly beginning to round. And as you exhale, allow the belly to lower. Inhale, belly rounds. Exhale, belly lowers. Allow your focus to come to your belly button so that you feel the inhale pressing the belly button away from you. And with the exhale, you feel the belly button collapsing back. There's not a lot of effort here. We're not necessarily trying to engage the core. So it's just a good deep breath into the belly. And as long as you're not dizzy or woozy, as long as the breath is flowing fully and naturally, begin to draw the breath up into the ribs so that the belly inflates, the ribs move away from one another, and then the ribs draw together and the belly button collapses down. Inhale, belly, ribs beginning to make space. Exhale, bringing everything together. Begin to breathe in this manner, allowing a little bit of noise to your breath if that's a part of your practice or if that's what feels appropriate. We help work out the stress partially through noise in our breath and that long exhale. So if you have either one of those going on right now, that's fine. And then notice if you're open enough to begin drawing the breath up towards the collarbones so that the front of the body lifts on the inhale. The belly lifts, the ribs separate, and perhaps the breath draws towards the collarbones. And with the exhale, the front of the body collapses towards the back. As the chest goes down, the ribs draw together, the belly collapses. Inhale, belly, ribs up towards the collarbones. Exhale, chest relaxes, ribs draw together, belly collapses. Take several more breaths, really beginning to feel a rhythm that you can easily find. A rhythm that feels comfortable and natural to you. And then as you're ready, go ahead and stretch your arms back behind you. Bring your legs together. Take a nice long stretch from fingertips to toes. Maybe press out through your right arm and your left toes. Left arm and right toes. A little bit of a crossbody stretch and then nice and long. And then bring the knees into the chest on an exhale. And wrap your arms around your knees, giving a good squeeze in. When you are ready, go ahead and roll off to your right side. Remember to move with the breath as much as possible. And when you're ready, come up to your hands and knees. You can take a blanket on your mat. If your knees are tender at all, and with your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, take some nice cat-cow movements. Inhale, stretch long. You can lift the chin gently. Exhale, belly button to spine, really rounding up. Inhale, long. Exhale, rounding up. Take several more of these movements. Letting the breath direct the movement and allowing yourself to linger where you need a little extra stretch. Maybe the exhale, you'll want to separate the shoulders a little bit more and hang out there, stretch the shoulders. Maybe on the inhale, you want to lift the chin up a little bit. Whatever you feel, go ahead and do. And then the next time you come to your inhale, we're going to go into child's pose first. So whether you would like to do it supported, like on a big setup, or if you just need something, a little blanket or a little pillow. I found this orthopedic pillow that is really firm and works pretty well as a little bolster. So when you have your prop ready, go ahead and come back up to your hands and knees. Separate the knees as you bring the toes together. Press the hips to the heels. Bring your props where you need them and lower yourself down. You can turn your head to one side or the other. I'll be keeping time. So partway through, I will tell you to turn your head. And then take these first few moments to find not only your breath, but your comfort zone, where you feel fully supported and like you can relax for the next few minutes. If your hips do not come all the way back to your heels, you can take a blanket, fold it or roll it up, and place it on your heels. That gives your hips a place to aim for and gives you a little bit of support. The more supported you are, the more your body relaxes. And once everybody is fully comfortable, breathe deeply, inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Go ahead and find that breath. Breathing, inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And allow your focus to stay at your belly button. Now it might feel a little bit awkward because you're laying on your belly button and there might be some pretty good pressure there. But as you breathe into the belly, feeling the belly stretching towards your props or the floor, and as you exhale, it all relaxes and you feel the body relax that much more. The arms grow heavy, The hips are very heavy. Make sure the arms are in a good, comfortable spot. Let the focus stay at the belly button. Remember, be kind to yourself. And let's very slowly, keeping the eyes closed, lift the head and turn it to the other side. And slowly relax it down. Noticing if you need any additional props for the other side of your head. Relaxing fully again. Let's begin to bring the breath to the space between the eyebrows. Allow that space to relax. Making sure there's no wrinkles or the forehead is not tight. And as you feel the eyebrows move away from one another, just notice, feel that space. Allow a light to develop between the eyebrows, a beautiful white, gold, silver, just a light color. Or absence of color, I suppose. Allow that light to begin to develop between the eyebrows. Just keep your attention there. Let your focus stay between the eyebrows. As you breathe deeply in and out, if you notice that you're beginning to get a little fidgety, ignore it. The itch will go away. If you have a cramp in your foot, yes, you might need to move that a little bit, but do it as gently as possible. And anything in your brain that's telling you you need to move for whatever reason, direct that energy to the breath and that space between the eyebrows. have about another minute in this pose. Allowing yourself to perhaps let go and relax just a little bit more. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. Allow the focus to stay at the breath, but come back to your space. Come back to your mat where you are right now. Perhaps the eyes slit open just a tiny bit. And of course, we're being kind to ourselves. So that means that we very slowly stretch our arms out in front of us. And we slowly bring ourselves back up to cat-cow. And I want you to take 5 of the slowest, most delicious cat-cows ever. So move aside your props so you have enough room. Take that long, deep inhale. Stretch the body. And with the exhale, spread the shoulders. The head relaxes. You round up. And if it feels good to take a little bit of extra movement, perhaps to move back towards your heels a little bit, go ahead and do that. Take whatever movements feel the best for you, the kindest you can be for yourself. Beautiful. And when you've completed these cat-cows, we are going to set up for Supta Baddha Konasana for our Reclined Butterfly. So I cheated and I put mine together first. So I took my 2 big books, Hamilton and Washington, and used them as bricks. And then I needed a little extra, so I took my grandson's books, just for a little bit of extra. I put a soft pillow down, and then I put my harder pillow on top, my pseudo bolster. Of course, if you have blocks, the blocks go on the bottom, the bolster goes on the top. And when you have everything set up, you sit in front of it. You're set up, sorry, with your feet on the floor and your knees up. Hands sort of behind you, because obviously you're going to lower yourself down. And when your props are ready, slowly roll down. Make sure the head is supported. And that might mean moving down on your mat a little bit. As always, take these first few minutes and make sure you're comfortable. Make sure that if you know that your legs are going to need a little bit of support, that you have something nearby. It can be a blanket, it can be blocks, it can be books, anything. And when you're set up and when you're ready, walk the feet together and let the knees open out. Support the knees however you need to. You can always take a blanket and fold it up and bring it around the legs to support like we do with the blankets in the studio. Ooh, that actually worked really well. And then relax yourself down. Again, making sure that you are comfortable. Making sure that your knees can stay in this position, that your hips can open out. And of course, take your feet as far away from yourself, your body, as feels comfortable. Probably more of a diamond shape than that close-in butterfly shape. And while you're continuing to get comfortable, let's remember this even applies to our body. Everything changes, and everything changes from day to day. So if you find that one side needs a little bit more propping up than another side, it's okay. It's not a problem. And then stuff that under your thighs. My husband is practicing next to me. I'm not talking to myself. Go ahead and make sure the knees are propped up so the hips can open gently. This is obviously a hip opener. We carry stress and emotions in our hips. I remember I was teaching a woman who was in Florida because she was taking care of her mother who had had a major surgery. And she knew that there weren't many more times she was going to get to see her mother. And when we did this pose, she cried. And she cried and she cried and she cried. And it was okay. I just went and held her hand as if we were allowed to do, I would do for anybody. But we carry a lot of stress in our hips, so let's release that today and allow ourselves to grow a little bit lighter, a little more relaxed. Everything changes, whether it's within our bodies, within our lives, going on around us. Don't fight it, let it. Let the changes come, let the changes happen. You are strong and solid, and I will say this forever. You are your own best support. You might not believe it. You might not have the confidence to believe it, but you are your best support. You are solid during this time. Don't fight changes, not to your body, not to anything. Allow change to come. Fit it into your life in a way that works for you. And move on. You are doing the best thing that you possibly can do for yourself right now by bringing this relaxation, this restorative yoga into your life. This pose really helps to unwind your body. Allows the chest to open, the hips to open. And when you're breathing deeply, it helps open up the torso too. Continue with that deep, good breath. And bring that focus back up to the space between the eyebrows. Relax the forehead. Bring the light to that space between the eyebrows. As you inhale, begin to draw the light back to midbrain, roughly between the ears. Exhale, press the light back out between the eyebrows. Inhale, draw the light to midbrain. Exhale, pressing it forward between the eyebrows. Make a nice path for yourself and follow that light. Allow your focus to stay there. While you are being kind to yourself. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. Follow your breath for a few moments, watching the light move back and forth. And on your next exhale, press the light out. Focus at the space between the eyebrows, the Ajna chakra, just for a moment or two, a breath or two. And then release. Release the mind. Perhaps the eyelids flutter open just a little bit. And go ahead and, if you're wrapped up at all, release any blankets and bring your feet to the floor and your knees pointing up. Use your hands to assist you on the way up. And then pause, noticing how you feel. giving the muscles a moment to unwind and rebound. And then press yourself up to seated and stretch your legs long in front of you. Take your hands to your kneecaps and wobble your legs around. And then take a moment and press out through one foot and then the other. Getting those legs to move a little bit. And then we're going to go directly into our seated forward bend, which I think we know from last week it's better I not use the Sanskrit word. We're just going to do a seated forward bend. If you know you need support, you can sit on the end of a pillow. I'm sorry, this is a blanket. You can sit on the end of a blanket and perhaps have a pillow resting on or in between your legs. If you know that you have a tight low back or tight hamstrings, tight hips, you can take a little bit of distance between the legs, not super wide because that's a whole different pose, but just hip width. Let your knees be soft. And that's another thing. If this doesn't help, you can bend your knees and bring it underneath the knees. Either of those, you're bringing everything up to you. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. Let your hips be super heavy into the floor. And as you exhale, slowly lower down with flat back, gazing at your toes. And then as your back starts to round, let it go. Let your chin move into your chest. Let your shoulders droop. And again, make sure you feel supported. Maybe you want a little support for your head. You can make fists with your hands and put it on top of your bolster or your knees to help support yourself a little bit. Whatever feels appropriate for you, knowing that we are going to be here for a few minutes. So you definitely want to be comfortable. Your head can turn to one side or towards center. And you find that good deep breath. You allow that breath to become very rhythmical for you and very deep. You can feel your belly perhaps pressing into a bolster or your thighs. You can feel how deep your breath is. It's very important in this pose, even in restorative, not to push too far. Allow your feet to be soft. The knees are slightly bent and soft. You definitely want to bring softness to the legs so that it gives you more space to get into this pose. Don't force it. Don't push it. The more you learn to relax into this pose, the deeper your stretch is actually going to be. You are stretching your spine, shoulders, pelvis, hamstrings. This pose also stimulates and balances the liver, kidneys, adrenal gland, ovaries, uterus. We know that this pose relieves stress and improves digestion and appetite. It brings us a calmer mind, reduces anxiety and fatigue. This is a good pose if you have insomnia to do in the evenings. Now let's once again go ahead and find that space between our eyebrows. And take the first few breaths to develop your light. And as the light develops, begin to draw it back on the inhale to midbrain. With the exhale, you press it forward. Inhale the light halfway back. Exhale, press it forward. Focusing at the light. Next time you inhale and draw the light back to midbrain, allow the light to begin to travel to the inside of the skull. Not the brain necessarily, although this light will be smoothing the brain, calming the brain. Breathe deeply, continue the breath, but allow that light to move into the skull, into the inside of the skull, and light up the inside of the skull at the surface of your brain. Breathing deeply, it's just a rhythm now. You don't even have to focus as much on the breath as you do on this light. Watching the light. And then begin to gather this light up to midbrain again. Slowly drawing it back until you have perhaps a ball of light at midbrain, roughly between your eyebrows. And you develop that breathing pattern again. Exhale, pushing the light forward between the eyebrows. Inhale, drawing it back. Following that trail of light from midbrain to the Ajna chakra. And on your next exhale, press the light out through third eye center. And just let go of that meditation. Follow your breath, however that happens for you. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. Blink the eyes just a little bit, just bring in enough light to bring you back to your space. And then go ahead and gently press yourself up to a seated position, setting aside or moving away any of your props as you're ready. Move slowly. And then as you're ready, as you've allowed the muscles in the legs to rebound, we're going to go ahead and sit up with our feet on the floor and knees up. We're going to windshield wiper. So go ahead and lean back if it helps, and take your legs to one side, and then up with the inhale, exhale to the other side. Do several of these. Ooh. As many of you know, I had back surgery in August, and my practice is still kind of coming back. So every now and then I make a much bigger stretch than I had. So I know it's coming back, because everything changes. And when you're ready, bring your feet back up to center. And we're going to go ahead and make a setup. Again, I've cheated a little bit, for a supported twist. So again, your books, your blocks, whatever you have, we're building this nice little setup. Put pillows, as many as you need, blankets, as many as you need. And then we sit. Wait, that's not right. We bring our hip up next to the bolster, that's it. So when you're ready, sit with your left hip up to the bolster and your feet on the floor. Inhale, and as you exhale, begin to twist towards your setup and let your knees fall to the floor. You're probably going to have to pick up your hip and shift a little. I wanted to enunciate that. And then lower down. Find your comfortable spot. Find your comfortable place for your arms. Knowing the more supported you are, the more you can relax. And once you know you're comfortable, take your time. Try to bring as much of the front of your torso, your belly, your chest, towards the blankets as you can. Now you'll notice if you turn your head towards your knees, that's pretty comfortable. If you turn your head away from your knees, it deepens the twist, and it may not be as comfortable. And remember, this is comfortable, this is not pushing. So you do what feels comfortable for you, and you breathe deeply. Find that nice, good, deep breath. This twist helps to relieve stress and tension in the muscles along the sides and midsection of the torso. And as you know, you have a lot of organs in this area as well. So it's great for healthy digestion. The twists are good for relieving stress in the entirety of your torso. When we hold the twist for a long time in a relaxed state without holding tension in our bodies, when we are relaxed and twisting, it does help move things along in your digestive system, including blood flow. So breathe deeply. Begin to develop the light between the eyebrows. And when you're ready, begin to draw it back to midbrain on the inhale, pressing it forward on the exhale. Let's continue with that breath for a few moments. as you're ready, on an inhale, draw the light back to midbrain, roughly between the ears, and hold it there. Now sometimes that light develops into a nice little ball of light that you can, it's almost like a glowing baseball for some people, and for others it's just a little bit of white light. There's no wrong or right way. It's just your way. And as you've held that bit of light at midbrain, you continue to breathe deeply, but let the light illuminate the inside of your skull. And what this will do is help to smooth out, relax, and calm the brain. Depending on how much you visualize, you may even be able to visualize the light moving around the surface of your brain. Perhaps you notice you're drawn to stay at a certain place, and that's fine. Maybe one part of your brain needs a little more work than the other. As this light travels, dancing on the surface of the brain, bringing lightness and relaxation, allow the light to draw back to midbrain again, holding together your light there. And then we begin to coordinate the breath with the light again. As you exhale, you press the light to third eye center. As you inhale, you draw it back to midbrain. And then go ahead. And on your next exhale, press the light out. Release that practice. Take a nice big inhale, exhaling completely. And when you're ready, bring your hands to the floor and slowly press yourself up to seated, pausing here for a moment. Perhaps you want to extend your legs out in front of you for a moment. Let your eyes stay closed or just very relaxed. And as you're ready, move to the other side. So bringing the other hip up against your bolster or your props. Bring the feet to the floor. Turn and face your setup. Shift the hips if needed. And then slowly lower yourself down. Turning your head towards your knees. And relaxing in. Make sure that you're very comfortable. And again, if you turn the head away from the knees, it's a much deeper twist. Continue to breathe deeply. Beginning to develop that beautiful gold or white light between the eyebrows, feeling how relaxed the forehead is now. When you're ready, the inhale draws the light back, the exhale presses it forward. Breathe following the light. And then gathering the light together at midbrain. And this time we're going to do something a little different. We're going to inhale and draw the light to the back of our skull, where our spine begins to connect to the skull or rests. So we've gathered our light and we've directed it to the back of our skull. And as you are ready, begin to breathe the light down the spine. It might take a couple of breaths, a few inhales and exhales to bring the light all the way down to your tailbone. Much like we did with the inside of the skull, allow that light to move around your sacral area, the area between from hip to hip and from your low waist to the bottom of your buttock. That's a little more than your sacral area, but let the light dance there. Notice if there are any places that are perhaps uncomfortable where your light would like to dance around a little bit more. Whatever the case may be, let that light focus at the low back and relax. Now begin to follow the breath again. Gather the light up in your tailbone, in your lowest part of your spine, and begin to breathe the light up the spine. Back up until you get to that place where the skull and the spine meet, and we pause there and we hold the light there for a moment. And then we bring it back to midbrain, and we hold it there for a moment. And then we press the light forward with the exhale, releasing the light, releasing that bit of your practice. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale completely. Bring your hands to the floor. Maybe bring your head to center first, and then slowly make your way up to seated. Pause for a moment, stretching the legs out in front of you. Doesn't matter which direction you're in. Maybe moving the legs around, pressing out through the feet, whatever's appropriate. And then we prepare for our Shavasana. So find the props you think you would like for that. For me, it would be a blanket for under my head. It would be something for under my knees. And then it would probably be a blanket or something light just to put over me. I like to be warm in Shavasana. And then slowly make your way down. Sometimes it helps to roll up the edge of the blanket for your head and allow that to support your neck, that little curve in there. And then get nice and comfy. Your hands can rest on your belly or they can come out to your sides. Make sure that you are comfortable. If you have any itches, if you need to make any adjustments, do that now. And then let yourself flop out completely. Or bring your hands to the belly. Inhale and exhale. Following that deep breath just for another few moments and then release it. So you're coming back to your natural breath. You're all set up, you're comfortable and relaxed. Bring your attention to the top of your skull. The top of your skull and your forehead. Relax your scalp and relax your forehead. They're connected. And yes, you can feel tension in your scalp. So relax the scalp, relax the forehead. The eyebrows move away from one another. The eyes sit heavily in the back of the skull. We release and relax our jaws. You can open the mouth and gently move the jaw around from side to side if that helps. Or you can just press your lips together gently, but let the teeth separate in your mouth. And then as you're breathing, visualize that you're tracing a line from your jaw where it connects to behind your earlobes. From behind your earlobes back to the jaw. Breathe for a few moments here, following that little path. And then bring the relaxation into your neck. Make sure the shoulders are away from the ears. Perhaps draw the shoulder blades together gently on your back. Let your breath play up and down the neck. There's muscles that wrap around the neck and they're pretty big. So try to allow them to relax, so that you can then bring the attention down into both your shoulders and the tops of your shoulders. These big, heavy trapezius muscles. Bring the relaxation. Letting the shoulders relax, letting the arms grow heavy. The fingers are soft, the elbows are soft. And we bring that relaxation down the spine, Finding the place mid-back where the ribs connect to the spine and letting that relax so that the ribs are very heavy. And then we bring our focus down to our hips, to our low back, where we just let that delicious light play. And we feel everything release. Our gluteus muscles, those buttocks, let them soften. If you have low back or hip problems, your glutes will tighten to try to protect that area. So let it all go. And then you're probably going to find that your legs are already pretty heavy and relaxed. But bring the focus to the legs, to the knees, to the ankles and the feet. The feet move away from one another. And you just let go of everything. Let go of any focus you have. The breath has returned to normal. The body is heavy, as though you're trying to leave an imprint on your mat. You allow your skin to rest against the floor, the muscles to rest against the skin, the bones to rest against the muscles, and you just let go. to focus on the breath as it's moving in and out of your nostrils. Feeling the coolness of the air moving in, the warmth moving out. And then slowly begin to flutter the eyes open. Maybe even just cracking them open for the moment. Notice if the body is requesting any movement. If you'd like to wiggle your fingers, roll your head, move the feet. And then as you're ready, draw the knees into the chest and give yourself a big squeeze in. Rolling off to your right side when you're ready. Take your time. And then slowly, taking your time, make your way up to a seated position. Good morning. Hi. Thank you all for joining me this morning. Let's go ahead and inhale our arms up, gaze up at our hands. Draw the palms down to heart center. Bowing the forehead towards the fingertips. We take this moment to show our gratitude for our practice of yoga, our gratitude for one another, and our gratitude for our community. The bright and shining light that resides within me and guides me on a daily basis honors the bright and shining light that resides within each of you. Please have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Please be kind to yourselves. When you are kind to yourselves, you'll find that it's even easier to be kind to others. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. See you soon. Namaste.